This is grandmother Kate. She was such a kind, lovely person.
Are you recording it? Sorry. Are you recording?
Is it recording?
Quiet. Yeah. Speak.
No, this is my mum and dad.
Mm-hmm.
You knew both of them, you remember?
Yeah, when was that then? Do you remember?
1923, I was married, yes. This is grandmother house. And this is, the whole house was theirs, I think. Divided it into two, and Auntie Connie, the youngest, she lived there for many years with her husband and Colin, my cousin Colin. I was always going over to Walton to see them.
So that's what the Watton house.
Yes. This is Aunt Florrie, mother's sister, one of them.
Oh.
Because they're all on here. Oh, this is my mother's wedding. This is my father's sister Violet. This is my father's father, grandfather, grandmother. We lived in Norwich. This is my mother's friend. This is Uncle Clifford. Clifford, he was Connie's husband. This is Connie and Florrie, they're the bridesmaids, mum's sisters. And this is grandmother and grandfather.
Who's that one now?
I don't know who she is. That's Uncle Charlie, mother's brother. Charlie. I don't know who's next to him.
Charlie was a tailor.
Yes, he went into the army.
Used to make gentlemen's suits, didn't he?
First World War. Learnt tailoring, yes, he didn't fight. This is my father, yeah, who you know was a stonemason. He had a workshop here.
Apparently the people that live there now keep finding stones in the garden.
Oh, yes.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did they?
Yeah, according to Jane.
Oh, good. They must have been his mistakes.
Ah, yeah. Odd bits left.
He taught Raymond to use a chisel and hammer, and Raymond made a rabbit, I think, out of stone. He had all these great lumps of stone. This picture here, which I can't quite see, is where he's training. This is the workshop at Norwich. What was the name of the stonemason?
I can't remember at the moment, but it's a well-established stonemason in Norwich, and he was apprenticed to them because he was supposed to go in before breakfast, I think, but I think he used to skip the early morning sometimes and go in at 8 o'clock instead.
This is me in the garden at Hingham, I think. Say Chapel Street, Hingham, Olive Note, question mark. Oh dear, we should never get to remember it.
Yeah.
These are all the grandparents again. I think this must be me. This is Raymond and I in the garden at Hingham, looking out from the house.
Raymond was quite mischievous, was he? What sort of things did he do?
Digging holes in the garden, big holes in the garden.
Didn't he set fire to a wheelbarrow or something?
Set fire, yes. No, the worst thing he did My grandmother had a paraffin, used to use paraffin, and she had it in an outhouse with a tap at the bottom, and he turned on this tap and let all this paraffin or
Mm.
heating oil run away. Oh, I expect they nearly killed him for that. Well,
Didn't
that was
they?
the worst thing he did. And he made a bonfire in a wheelbarrow, collected all the bits and pieces and made a fire in a wheelbarrow, and then ran about with it, pushed it round with it. And Colin wasn't naughty like that. He never.
Well, I think
Colin
Colin's
was
father
full
was
of
very
ideas, I
strict,
suppose.
actually.
Hmm?
Colin's father was very strict
Oh, he
because his
was, he-
father was strict.
Yes, he was strict. Yeah.
Yeah. Colin's grandfather used to make his father go to, before he went to school, he had to look after the hens and whatnot, didn't he? Had to do a certain amount of work, and he had to do more work when he came home.
This is me and this is Raymond again. That's us as children. All those.
But I thought on the whole you had a happy childhood, didn't you?
Extraordinarily happy.
Mm.
This is Auntie Violet, my father's sister. But that's taken. She worked as a children's nurse. That's not taken at home.
She lived in Torquay, didn't she? That one.
Yes, here she is again. I don't think my mother liked her very much somehow. Well, this is Mr. Truford here. He was a church friend. We used to go. This is a Sunday school trip to Yarmouth, look. I think that's my mother with that hat on. My mother used to wear a lot of hats.
I can't imagine your mother sort of sitting on the beach very much. She was a bit too dignified, wouldn't she?
This is Uncle Charlie, my mother's sister. Now this is Nigel Knott, Auntie Alice's son. This is grandfather Knott. With that baby, I suppose. This is Raymond and me. And we were in the neighbours.
His face is just the same as it was later.
Got the same shaped face.
Face, yeah,
You could
round
tell
face.
it was him, can't you?
yeah.
Used to wrinkle his face up, yeah. Look at me with a fur around the neck.
Was that the fox fur? I seem to remember that fox fur.
This is cousin, one of the cousins that lived at Clacton, Bernard and Marjorie. Bernard and Marjorie, that's my father's sister's children. There's Bernard.
Yes, Bernard is gone, but Marjorie's still alive, isn't she?
This is Michael Knott from
He's gone.
Downham, and his wife Shirley. This is Uncle Clifford and Auntie Connie and Colin. Oh, yes. Oh dear, this has gone on for a long time. This is my class at Hingham School, look.
Mm.
That's me there.
Second from the right, at the bottom.
Yeah. This is Jean Legg, the policeman's daughter. Can't remember. This is Joan Etrich, news agent's daughter. This is my mother in the front garden, but they've altered that now and built a garage there.
Mm.
Garden, if you will remember.
The shed thing, yeah.
This is my friend Dorothy. we were teaching together in Ipswich, and she was bridesmaid at our wedding. No, we called the matron of honour or something. On the front door, and this is the front door, you can recognise the front door.
Yeah.
Dorothy lived in.
The front garden hadn't changed much,
Ipswich.
really.
No, I don't. Well, they're
No, the house
a
hasn't
bit
changed.
older, but not much, I don't think.
Now then,
Where was this?
this is low stuff. This is when I first met Dad, I suppose. We went on holiday. That Granny Lincoln took her family. Well, she took June. That's June.
Is that the 1939 one? Yes, it is in the, just before the war broke out while we were there.
Yeah, 1939. And Auntie Flo was going. She took me, and Auntie Connie was there. They took Colin, so we us swimming at most of that 1939.
So the first time you met?
No, it wasn't. I think we met when we were about 7, actually. I remember your father bringing you over to our schoolhouse at Stansted, I think, all those years ago, a little village where my mother was teaching.
Well, you see,
And
Granny Lincoln
you were
was,
about 7, I think.
was a
Oh,
widow.
and I was.
Dad's father died when he was 5. You were living in Dedham then, weren't you?
Yes, they were living in my grandmother's, one of my grandmother's bungalows in Dedham. And my father never recovered from the war. You know, he was a war casualty, but not listed as a casualty. He was out in
Anyway,
the Dardanelles.
Granny Lincoln decided to go back to teaching if she could get a job, see, to keep the family.
Because they wouldn't accept, she wouldn't have been able, they wouldn't have accepted her while her husband was alive.
Yeah.
That was the rule.
They wouldn't have
But
married
so when-
teachers, would they?
No, they married teachers were verboten. But as a widow job, and
To cut a long story, my Aunt Florrie, my mother's sister, applied to be housekeeper for Granny Lincoln, you see. So my father drove us to Clacton, and we passed through Polstead and called on to see them. And I don't remember that occasion, but
no, you probably wouldn't remember it, but I can just about remember it. Come to this little village at Stansted.
because not many people had cars in those days.
No.
But my father had to have a car for his work. He couldn't get stones about without
Yeah.
transport.
Mm.
And he used to have a trailer behind the car. He was ever so proud of his car. In fact, it cost too much, really. It took all the money. Made us poor, car did. But there we are. Anyway,
So when did you next
Anyway.
meet then?
anyway.
Well, we must have met at Lewis, I think, I remember. Any occasion before that. I say it was August 1939. Mm. We were all staying at various guest houses. I can't remember where we were staying. But we had to go back early. My mother had to go back early.
Well,
Because we had some...
how did we get together after that? David is asking.
That's a good question. That really is a good question.
We must have
We met,
written to
met
each other as
during the
friends.
war. Yes, we did write to each other.
I think
That's
you-
true.
When you joined up.
Yes. I had some letters from you while I was abroad, certainly.
You were on
And then when I came home on holiday once, we met.
We met in Ipswich, yes.
Yes, I went to stay in Ipswich.
But we didn't get on too well.
No, we didn't get on at all well then.
It was sort of hit and miss,
Yeah.
really. We just were acquainted
Mm.
with each other for a long time, on and off. On and off, you could say. wouldn't you?
Mm. And then we met again at Southend. About 1950,
Yes.
was it?
Well, Auntie Flo said to me, "You haven't got a boyfriend, why don't you write to Frank?" And so I thought, well, I'll write and see how he's getting on, so I did. Which year was that?
I think it's about 1950, I would imagine.
I was surprised to find we were both still single.
Mm. You were working at Southend at the time.
Yes, I'd got a job.
And how old were you then?
We must have been 25, roughly 25. Because we were married at 27. Just
We went back to school here in the school lab. That's Derrimore School. This is Bingley College,
The teacher training, is it?
teacher training, yes.
there was one in Norwich, but you never got there, did you?
Well, the Norwich College
that
was bombed, and
Yeah.
so
Mm.
our headmistress guided us to Bingley. We didn't, I think she knew someone there.
Up on the edge of the moors at Bingley.
Yeah, but
It's now quite a posh residential place for older people, I think, let's say. Because we have been back there.
these are the teachers that I was teaching with when I first went to Ipswich. This is a class, not the second school I went to in Ipswich, just my class there. I had 48 children, 5-year-old. These are the teachers at Whitton. My friend Dorothy should be on here. She's not, she must have come afterwards. This is the headmistress, Miss Chapman. This is me, of course.
And where was that again?
Whitton.
Where's
Whitney
that?
Estate here in Ipswich.
Somewhere near Ashley, if you'd like to.
It's opposite White House.
Yes,
It's on
the
one
White
side
House
of
part of
the-
Ipswich. Yeah. North Ipswich, isn't it? Yeah.
It's off the Norwich Road,
Mm.
on the outskirts of Ipswich. This is a school in Langdon Hills in which I did supply teaching. This is after we were married. I got a job for a while, supply teaching. We didn't get, I think we earned £10 a week in those days.
I'm just going to check if the camera's working okay. Make sure that's...
So by then you were allowed to work as a teacher if you were married?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It must have been changed which has come in.
Yes, I can't remember which year it changed, but
Well, that
it
was-
definitely did, yes.
I think the World War II changed a lot of things, didn't
Oh, yes,
it?
yes.
Particularly the role of women.
Certainly did, yes. They were only too glad to
I had
have
a
them.
class of difficult children here. Look, they were,
Mm.
I forget what they call it, perhaps handicapped. I took them to the railway station, which was, looking back, a foolish thing to do. Most dangerous.
Probably a treat for them.
Yeah, well, that's the
Thanks,
staff
Peter.
at that school. Oh, this is all school. Here we are at the station. Somebody said, give all these children a cup of tea, but that was the cups of tea were the last thing that they wanted. But anyway, I think people were surprised to see all these children on the station. Oh, these are polyphotals we had taken. They were very popular. But this is, where is that one? Let's see, so one of the Norfolk. I think this was a school trip.
There's some beach huts there, aren't there?
It was a school trip. Munsley, 1937, look. We went on the train. Yeah, that was before the war, you see.
When there was a train at Munsley.
So how many years were you a teacher?
9, I did 9 years.
Mm.
But I did, if I'd known, I'd have done 10 and I'd have got a pension. You have to do at least 10 to get a quarter pension. You're supposed to do 40 years. But I didn't know that at the time. So I suppose it doesn't matter now. That's Dorothy, it's Hingham. This is my father's car that he was so proud of. Oh, I forget the number plate now, NG something rather. Oh, that's my...
It was a
Yeah,
standard
it's
10, I think he had, wasn't it? Standard 10.
Oh. Yeah, this is Woodbridge.
Look at that.
I came here with a boyfriend from Ipswich.
Let's change a bit.
Yeah. Well, this is Dorothy's home in Norfolk. I went to stay with her for the weekend. I don't know why we're gathering those flowers. I think I must have grown them to sell. That's our family. I think we were both single then.
Yes, she died fairly recently, Dorothy.
She died in
They had a house in Ipswich for years.
Yeah, she settled down. She
Yes,
never
yes.
left Ipswich, Dorothy. She stayed here 50 years. That's it. That's taken on holidays. One of the guild. This is a guild holiday.
It's not Willersley Castle, that one, is it?
Guild holiday at Buckton I've got down here. I'm not certain.
Is it Willersley?
I don't know if it was written like that. Guild holiday at Buckton, Yorkshire.
Buckingham.
That one didn't stay open long. I don't think they could get, it was such a lonely place, they couldn't get enough holiday makers. This is Buckton as well. Actually, we used to bathe in the river there, I think. It's near Skipton.
Up in the Dales, yes.
Yeah. And this is one of the rambles. I expect. Are we still recording?
Mm.
Oh, Buckton again.
Used to have these walks led by the social secretary, and quite often the social secretary didn't know where she was going. She was just given this walk. Never done it before.
Well,
And we used to get lost.
David's been on this one.
Yes, you've been on some.
This one looks like. I think they're all holiday ones. This
Carnarvon.
one is Colwyn Bay. I remember that.
Mm.
Mm.
Is that one Carnarvon?
Yep.
yes. Dad and I went first holiday.
We went, the first holiday we went to Switzerland, that must have been 1951, I suppose,
Wow.
when we were single. And of course, you went by train, who should sing us flying.
Taken a long while.
This is
Yes, right across France,
Hingham Methodist Church.
still open.
There's me going to church, going to our wedding. And all these people. Granddad, not. Dorothy, Raymond. We're not on this one.
From right to left.
Barbara, my mother. Mrs. Turner next door to my mother. That looks like Colin up there.
That's your cousin Michael who took the
Tall one at the back.
photographs. Mm. It was Michael who took the photographs, wasn't it? He wasn't very good in those days.
No, he was a complete amateur. My mother asked him to take the photographs.
We got everybody in.
Yes, got everybody.
Got everybody in the picture.
Yes, there's no heads cut off. But he did become a professional
He
wedding
was
photographer,
He
and
was only 14
amongst other jobs.
at the time.
Mm.
He felt ashamed of the photographs because they were so poor when people asked to see them. This is us having a reception.
That was in the Lincoln Hall, wasn't it?
No, Lincoln Cafe.
Lincoln Cafe.
That was a
Okay.
temporary
Yeah.
cafe. That's us going out of church. No. Oh, here are the people in Nanny's garden after we're gone, and we're gone. We went to home to Langdon Hills. That's Aunt Florrie, that's Dorothy. That's Uncle George, Auntie Gladys's husband.
From right to left. I've never seen a picture of him.
Auntie Gladys was in hospital.
Because he was a lot older than Gladys.
She couldn't come to our wedding. Auntie Gladys, she was in hospital at that particular time. I think she, I forget. I don't know quite what she had. This is Madge
Yes.
from Skelton. And that's Aunt Florrie from Skelton, from Golden Corner, Walters. Well, that was they're the only relations on your side, weren't they? Because your mother,
Mm. That's right.
Granny Lincoln, didn't come to
No,
our wedding.
she wasn't well enough to come.
So what, just remind me what relation Madge and Florrie were
It
again.
was, she's a,
Florrie was my
Descended
mother's
from the-
sister-in-law.
Right.
That way. Yes. My father there was a big family of boys and one girl.
she was a Lincoln,
Yeah.
Aunt Florrie, before she was
Yeah.
married, this Aunt Florrie. She would, yeah,
Who lived in this
be your father's
sister.
sister.
Yeah.
But Dad didn't have many relations, you see, did you? Well, no, not that you knew, because we didn't know the
My
Lincolns,
mother
so-
never kept up with the Lincolns. There's a story that they wrote to her and said, could we look after one of the children for you? Could we bring her up? And I think they picked on Barbara. And my mother she wasn't at all pleased about this. And she wrote back and said, no, thank you. And she didn't really keep up with her much, but she kept up with Aunt Florrie, a very kind lady. Lived in this dilapidated old cottage at Skelton.
I remember going there.
Yes. Mm.
We got from
That
It
cottage.
was Florrie and Madge was her daughter.
I'm telling you wrong about Uncle George.
I don't
I've got
know.
it written on the back. This is Uncle George.
That
He was George Knott, Auntie Gladys's husband.
second from the left.
And he was well, my cousin Marjorie called him a snob, but of course he was well educated and he was clever really, wasn't he?
I never really knew him. I think he called on us once, didn't he, when we were in London? But I hardly knew him.
Well, I knew him very well. Very well.
I think he worked for Dewson's, the
He was a Labour.
merchants.
He was very interested in politics, wasn't he?
Didn't he play an instrument?
Well, he
And he
would
used
have
to-
married Auntie Gladys if he hadn't been interested in politics. Anyway, that was. He was actually my father's uncle, wasn't he? He was in the previous generation. Anyway, there's the wedding reception. There's Nanny's house. Okay. What's this? Oh, that's us before we were going away after the wedding. I've got a wedding dress on there. Now then, this is where we went, where we couldn't find anywhere to live. We took this bungalow in the wilds of Essex. Here we are. Dad bought a heavy old tandem, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
Because I didn't. Couldn't cycle long distances, so we thought tandem would be a good idea.
That was Langdon Hills, was it?
Yeah.
Langdon Hills, near Langdon. It's now absorbed into Basildon New Town. It was
that
a-
was very primitive. We didn't have
Oh,
any
it was a
water
primitive
left over.
place.
We didn't have any electricity.
They were built as holiday cottages before the war.
Well, we didn't want to know all about
No.
that.
No.
Langdon Hills was a village or town of bungalows. People had bought plots of land, as he says. And they used to go put little buildings on and used them for holidays, didn't they?
Mm.
But of course, during the war, they got lived in permanently.
Yeah.
That's a long story, really. And then we went for a honeymoon in Devon. Look, this is. What was the name of it?
Linton and Lynmouth. We were a bit inland from there.
It was nice. It was a lovely place.
Just before the great flood at Lynmouth wiped away part of the village.
And what year was that? Your honeymoon?
Well, it must have been 52.
This is Langdon Hills indoors. Inside. I don't know what this is. This looks like Switzerland. No, Lynmouth. Oh, that's right. There were big cliffs at Lynmouth. Did they have a cliff fall soon after?
Yeah.
Oh, that's by
They
the
had
way.
this dreadful flood.
And this is Raymond. Look at coming to Langdon Hills. He can take notice with the garden. We had a huge chunk of garden, but we couldn't do much with it. We weren't experienced enough. Anyway. And this is Barbara. I think Barbara visited us Langdon Hills and found a cat there. That was before she had one of her own, or several of her own. This is Hale. This is Langdon Hills. These are Langdon Hills that you can see. He had all this garden here, this side and at the other side. My father planted an enormous number of potatoes to fill it up. I'm sorry you can't see these, Lee. Oh, this is John.
Hmm.
We're visiting Downham there. That's Langdon Hills again. I'm jumping. It's jumping about. Now, here comes John. By that time we'd moved to Streatham. We spent 2.5 years at Langdon Hills. Decided we'd put a deposit on the house. And we found one at Streatham. It was only £2,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2,100 I think it
What
was.
year
Yeah.
did you move to Streatham?
That was about 55, was it? No, 54. I think around about 54, 55, yeah. I was born in 55, yeah. Probably 54. And the house prices hadn't gone up in those days.
We had 10 years in Streatham. You were all born there.
Hmm.
We used to go and see Barbara when we could. Oh, this is Watton here. We brought John. There's my grandmother still alive, you see.
Hmm.
There was 4 generations there.
Hmm.
John and Robert. Robert. Christening.
Some colour ones, eh?
Yes. That's Melville and Barbara. Judy and Terry. Peter's not on that one. That's Granny Lincoln. There's us with John in the
Who's
bushes.
that? Is that Joe?
No, I don't think it is it? That's not John.
Have a
is it?
look.
The second from the left.
No, I don't think it is.
That's
She
why
says
it's
she
the
must have
time
changed a
John is
lot.
sitting here.
No, I can't remember who she is. No.
This is Uncle Tim come to visit. No, I don't know who. I suspect it was a friend
Hmm.
or relation. This. That's Judy at the top there.
Hmm.
We used to meet on Clapham Common sometimes.
Yeah, we used to take the bus and meet. This is John and that's Peter. That's our back garden at Streatham. This is back garden at Streatham, all this. That's Robert and you, must
Hmm.
be.
Must be. You
No,
could not
that's
recognise
a-
that angelic face.
That's at March. That's Cambridgeshire. I decided to move out of London and we decided to try and get to Norfolk. So he got a job at March in Cambridgeshire. And we
We were just there 1 year, weren't we?
he came down to March and he bought a house without me seeing it.
Never been able to forget it.
I hadn't seen the house before we moved in.
Did you make a good choice?
Well,
Well, it wasn't what we wanted. It was about, what did we pay for? About 1,300 we paid for that, 1,400 perhaps.
we had terrible neighbours.
Yeah,
We only stayed
neighbours
a
weren't very
year
bright.
because he got a job in Norwich after that next year. We only stayed a year. terrible neighbours. Perhaps we better stop there, do we? It's really go out. Yeah, we had a very jealous neighbour. She was so jealous because we had a nice car there. They provided us. Was it a Cortina?
Yes, one of the first Cortinas.
Oh dear,
Went to a whole succession of them. About 4, I think.
I must take it back.
And that's in the 70s.
Yeah, there was 65, I suppose that was, yes.
So,
And they just introduced them, and of course, for forward, it was a great step forward. A lovely boot on them, which we needed for our job. Plenty of equipment in that.
We didn't have a bathroom at March. We had to have a bath put in, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a young plumber who did a lot of work on this
Just had a big
house.
sink.
take some pictures of the photos themselves so you know what you
It was in a terrace. We were in the middle of this terrace. We could hear everything. I was got to say hear everything through the walls, not everything. I didn't hear anything because I was too busy. Oh dear.
I was working for the Isle of Ely County Council in the States.
Right.
Cambridgeshire was split up into Soak of Peterborough and Isle of Ely, and there was a Cambridge County Council as well, and a Cambridge City Council. And they were all incorporated into this big Cambridge County Council. But well, at that time I'd left to go to Norfolk.
So you couldn't go direct from London to...
No, there wasn't a job advertised in Norfolk. I suppose really I should have stopped in London. But we were working for the London County Council, and that was split up. And people went to work for the individual boroughs. Most of them did very well out of that.
I told Dave it was just as well we did move because the school at Stratton was absolutely terrible.
No good for
Young
John, was it?
Never learnt a thing
It was
at
no
all.
good for John at all.
Do you know, one term they found out he wasn't even on the register. He went a whole term and he came home one day and said, they found I wasn't on the register. He was about 11 then. I said, no, not 11, no, 9. But that was just before we moved. And when we got to March, they gave him a medical, and he had to read, I had to go to this medical, he had to read the letters, you know, for testing his eyes, and he read them all wrong. And I thought, whatever is he doing? And I hadn't noticed he couldn't see in the distance. But they found that out when he went to March, and he started to learn something. But that was a terrible school. It was quite a long move. Well, there were 3 within equal distance. But I think, looking back, horrible. He got so many illnesses. He had all, but those days you didn't have all the.
But you had a very good lady doctor who lived nearby.
You did
It
have a
was very
good
good,
doctor opposite, yeah. That was another good thing. And that was about all. Oh dear.